Welcome everyone to one of my videos. This is AiHEADHUNTER and against me is Eclipsia Elvis, Belgium player, one of my, well, I would say my best training partner. We've played a really lot of games, but this is a tournament game from some online cup, so there was higher stakes than just practice. The map is Shakura's Plateau, and it's maybe a little bit unusual map because of few things. At first, it's really hard for Protoss to take a third here, and on the other hand, it's quite easy to harass a zerg third base if he makes it on the natural of the another player spot, because you can you warp units on the another player spot and then just push down the ramp. We'll see what Elvis is gonna do, because thanks to that he's not usually making his third base on the natural of the another player spot, which means his three bases are not in the line on the left side of the minimap, but he usually makes his third base as the forward base near the Xelnega tower. So I think I like it, but it makes him more vulnerable to some front attacks like 7 Gate or Immortal Sentry or something. So right now I scouted him on the first position, obviously. I harassed a little bit of his drone, but I was careful. You must not let his drones to surround you. I blocked his natural, and he immediately sent his drone to his third position. Right now, I don't know that he plans to make his natural expansion on the forward third position. Maybe if I paid attention to the minimap, I could see another drone sliding by, but that's not the case. So, so right now, I think I delayed his base for a really long time because I'm gonna check again his third, and there's no hatchery, and the drone is backing out. So I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then soon I realize he has his expansion all along on the other place. But that's a detail. I made Forge before Nexus just to be sure. On the other hand, I made a gateway before cannon. That's something you can afford to do when you block your opponent's natural with pylon, because the zerlings will be delayed by killing the pylon, and you have enough time to get your gateway and your another pylon before a cannon. Uh, as you can see, what I like to do is taking my guesses randomly, because I don't like zergs to scout my second guesses on my expansion and assuming what strategy I'm playing just from the timing of my second guesses. Like if the guesses are taken in 6:30, the zerg knows I'm gonna play either blink or something gets heavy, and there won't be any mass gateway pressure and so on. So I take my guesses randomly, one at home, one at natural, sometimes even two at natural at first, and by that I make things more complicated for the zerg. He has to scout my both bases and to realize how many guesses I have, how much gas I harvested, and so on. Right now, I'm gonna make my special build. Well, it's not so special, but I think not many players are doing this, because it's gonna be Blink Stalkers plus 4 sentries in War Prism. And that's something a little bit unusual, because I'm not gonna push out the front. I'm gonna fly War Prison to back, and I'm gonna blink first to the no man's land between our bases, and then blink in his main. This is obviously strategy designed for this map, but you can use it on another maps. The only problem is that your first round of warping has to be somewhere else but in your main. Because if you be playing the strategy on any other map and you warp your first round of Blinkstalkers in your main, then they won't reach your opponent's base in time you need. So, for example, on Ohana, if you want to play this strategy, you have to warp your first round of Blinkstalkers on the side, on your fort or something. Then you fly your warp prism, and then the next round of warping is in your opponent's main. You will see it later. So first I make second guesses at 6:30 or 6:40. Robo shortly after 6 minutes, like 6:30, also okay. Like you can make Robo slightly before the second guesses. You make 2 probes on each mineral, then you stop. The Twilight Council has to be shortly after Robo, because you need early blink. Then you make 6 additional gateways. So it's 7 gate, Robo, blink, 2 probes on each mineral. Meantime, you're making sentries from your gateway before warping. So as you can see, I have 4 sentries before I warped my gateway into warp gate. I'm preparing my pylon to the side so I can warp in my first round down the cliff on the no man's land, but it's not really necessary on this map. I can warp them in my main because the distance is really close. The Robo wasn't doing anything for a long time. Sometimes you can make observer first if you smell something fishy like Zerg delaying his third base or something. You can make observer first, but there's really not enough gas to make everything in the correct time and to have observer. So prism is out. I loaded the 4 sentries. My first round of warping is somewhere here. So if you imagine you're playing another map, you need to warp your first round somewhere on the map so the distance is closer. You can see that I'm gonna blink in his main and I'm gonna get a cooldown on my gateways so I can warp second round of Blinkstalkers in his main. I'm not trying to force field his ramp because it's too far away and he will have enough time to move his army in the defensive position. So I'm not gonna take a chance to force fielding his ramp because this position is really good also. I can put some force field down, block his army, use the gas, use the minerals, use the cliff to abuse the position and to do as much damage as possible. He already used a few drones in defense, but he has a lot of army, so he's defending it pretty well, and I will be forced to blink out of his main, and that's not really good for me because, as I said, I have only 2 probes on each mineral. We can check income. He lost few probes, so the workers amount is quite the same, but the same worker amount on 3 base are much better than on the 1 base. So my position wouldn't be so good except for that his third base is really close and I can abuse the hell out of it by just blinking on his third, blinking in his main. So that's something you have to do when you're playing Blinkstalkers on map as Chakra's Plateau. You can abuse the immobility of his army. You can blink up and down, and do some damage. As you can see, his spawning pool is getting dangerously low. I will be finishing it later, but right now I'm a little bit afraid of broodlings, and yes, the spawning pool is dead, and I will be forced to blink out again because the amount of roaches is quite decent for defense. I maybe would be able to kill them, but it wouldn't be cost effective, and I'm not sure how economically ahead is my opponent. He had some part of army prepared at this third, which was pretty smart because as I blinked down, my cooldown was off and I couldn't micro my stalkers, so even few zerlings and few roaches were doing really good amount of damage. But my army count is quite superior, so I can continue in this aggression. I can warp another blink stalkers, blink them individually, and try to do some damage. He's keeping his armies on the cliff and down the cliff, so I can't easily blink up and down. But you know, he can't have two big armies. He can't have you know, two groups, and each of the groups will be strong enough to defend my blink stalkers. So I need the aggression keep on. I need to keep fighting, because I can't really transition into macro game. If I backed out now, and if I make a third base, I think he would be far ahead. We can check the worker amount. I killed 13 drones, and right now he didn't remake any of his workers, so his economical position is not as good. The income is even lower on free base, and it's only a matter of time before he loses this game. But he's still trying pretty hard, and the defense is quite good, because as I said, if he keeps his army in the place I'm going to blink, he's gonna get immediate hits when I blink up, and I can't blink down and at the second because I will be on cooldown. So I'm trying to do some damage, moving my warp prism, moving observer, and right now the game is pretty much decided, because he moved all of his army down to the third, and I was just blinking up. So to sum it up, on some maps you can play this strategy. You can you make one zealot to map control, then shortly after 6th-minute mark you make robo, let's say 630, 640, additional 2 gases and twilight cancel. You make 2 probes on each mineral. You keep making sentries from your gateway before warp gate is done, and you made 6 additional gateways as soon as you have the minerals for it. Then your first round of warping has to be somewhere close to your opponent's base, because the cooldown, you know, is like 30 seconds, 35 seconds, or I don't know, and you have to move your army before your gateways are ready to warp in another round. So on Shakura's plateau, you warp your first round of warping in the no man's land. You move your warp prism with 4 sentries and the blink stalkers to your opponent's main, and then there you warp in another round of stalkers. If the positions on this map were cross position, it's still doable, but let's pretend, let's watch the minimap, and let's pretend Elvis is right here. In that case, I would send the probe, make pylon here, and my first round of warping will be here. Then the prism would fly like this here. Then I will be blinking up in his main and warping additional round of stalkers. Obviously it would be a lot more dangerous, because he could easily scout the pylon with his zergling. He could spot me with an overlord or something. So this is a risky strategy. You can't be playing it regularly, or players will figure this out. But from time to time it can be useful. I think this strategy might be very good on maps like Ohana, for example. If you manage to hide your pylon, let's say on your fort, or down on the place a little bit down your fort on the side of the map, and if you warp in your first round here, you move your warp prism from your main to your fort and to the place you warp in your first stalkers. You can then blink in your opponent's main, and you can even force field his ramp. This is something I cannot do here, because if he spots me in this position and I would do nothing and just fly here and try to force field his ramp, that is big chance he would be prepared with his army right here in time before I could fly all across his main and force field his ramp. So on some maps you can do it, on some maps you cannot. But obviously this position on this map is really the best opportunity to execute this strategy because it's 100% safe to warp some stalkers here and blink up here. And if your opponent makes third expansion here instead of on the standard spot, it's even better. So that's it. Thank you for watching.